Get it out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall
I'm back off my trip on the ET bike to Mars, baby.
and Michael Reed.
I'm just still as white as ever. Still super white. Hanging
And
out.
that'll never change, Reed.
No,
That'll
dude,
never
seriously,
change.
I just want to say I'm so white that the first day I was just at the beach for 2 weeks. The first day I went down to the beach, I wore 50 SPF suntan lotion and got terrible sunburn within like an hour. Like that's how white I am. That was so bad.
You're
I've
pastry
gotten
white, dude.
I've gotten sun poisoning like 6 times where I get like the blisters. One time I
Oh,
passed out.
ew.
One time I passed out against a Bud Light truck when I was drunk at Preakness, and half of my face was in the shade and the other half wasn't, and I had sun poisoning on one half of my face, and I looked like Freddy Krueger, like there was like blisters, and I had to like go DJ weddings and stuff with that, and like go to bars. I was like, oh my god.
Did you try to go to like the suntan booth and get the other half tanner?
No, I didn't want to actually get cancer. Like
Just like two-faced it. Fuck it.
I literally just two-faced.
Oh, Two-Face.
Pictures of it.
That's gonna be your name from now on. Is Two-Face.
That's 'cause I am. You should hear what I say about you.
Right. But we have a lot to go over. There's a lot of news that's been developing around the league, and it's specifically with with the Washington football team. And we're going to get into Lesean Mccoy signing with the Bucks. We're going to get into the NFL Top 100. But before we get into any of that, we have to talk about the latest and greatest news with the Washington football team. And right before, about an hour or two ago, Ken Zampese, the QB coach for the Washington football team, spoke to the media, and he actually had some questionable things to say. Reed, what are some of his quotes?
He had a few good quotes. I'll go ahead and read some. Each one I'll talk about. I think 5 quotes here. We can dissect them and talk about them. So first of all, Zampese said that Alex Smith has an urgency to learn exactly how the new coaching staff wants to do things. He's not content with what he knows already. He also added that Smith has been a great example for the other guys. I think that we all knew that kind of coming in, that Alex Smith was just like the guy who could take this quarterback room to the next level. And apparently it's very important to Alex Smith to learn this system and get up to date and be able to help Dwayne and Kyle Allen.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that because, look, that's exactly what we had talked about on Tuesday with Zach Selby, the Washington football team staff writer, and that was Alex Smith's ability to help Dwayne and Kyle Allen progress. And hearing Zampese say that means that is 100% happening, and I'm glad to see it because I think there's another Zampese quote that you're going to say here soon that speaks volumes about Dwayne. Hall, what was your opinion about that quote?
Yeah, it just goes into all the hard work Alex has been putting in the offseason. It goes to show you that obviously his goal is to get back on the field at some point and obviously become a starting quarterback again in the NFL at some capacity. But in the meantime, like we said in the podcast, like you just said, this is going to be great for excuse me, Dwayne and Kyle Allen and even this dude from Colorado. I just had his name.
Steven Montez.
Steven Montez, yeah. I was going to say Montez Sweat. I was like, wait, that's not right. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it just goes to show that Alex is always a really smart guy, and throughout his career, even going back to Urban Meyer's system in college, he's able to pick it up really fast, and just goes to show you that he's a really smart guy. And like I said, like we've been repeating before, it's only going to benefit Dwayne and Kyle Allen and the rest of those guys in the QB room.
Yeah, and Alex Smith has been in this type of offense before, going back to San Francisco. He was under North Turner there as well. So Alex Smith can definitely help with the terminology and everything. So what was another quote, Mike Reed?
Some other stuff that he said was interesting was that the identity he's bringing to the team is an attack mentality. He says that they can't be silly with it, however, that they want to go after the big plays with low turnover. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of incorporate that, because usually the big plays are ones that are also they have a high chance of getting the ball turned over. So it's going to be interesting to see how he schemes things up to kind of get Terry McLaurin open deep, or to kind of get these big plays, or what kind of formations they run out of, or who they put in motion, just to kind of throw the defense off. And I'm excited about him. I think that he's the perfect guy for this job right now.
Yeah, and I think what he's essentially saying is with Jay Gruden's system, it was all about moving the chains, getting first downs. And so they would run plays that were scripted to go to the check down just to get yardage to act as a running play. So essentially what I think is Scott Turner is saying is that we're going to be using play action a lot because our running game is going to get going. And then we're going to allow Dwayne and Terry McLaurin and AGG deep downfield off of play action and attacking the defense deep downfield. Because under Jay Gruden, that was, I'm not going to say it was rare, but it was a dime a dozen when we would actually get a big play downfield. And so I love that aspect from Scott Turner because, look, you have Terry McLaurin there. He showed what he can do deep downfield last season. And you have Dwayne Haskins, who has a cannon of an arm. Why wouldn't you take that with you and use that to your advantage?
Right. And real quick, before we get to you, Hall, remember Jay Gruden also ran the ball. What was it? 68% of the time on first downs. Yeah. It was like he never changed it up. Everybody knew what was coming on first down, and he just never did anything about it. He was just so manila. It's going to be interesting to see somebody who actually likes to mix things up, use different formations, get guys in motion, and get people open. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, Kyle, I think it's going to be a lot of relying on the run game and a lot of AP, Darius guys out the backfield to, like you said, open up that downfield passing with Dwayne Haskins' huge arm to Terry McLaurin, AGG. You can even throw Steven Sims in there. I know they drafted Antonio Gibson because they love his matchups against linebackers and free safeties or strong safeties, either one. And so I also throw another wrinkle in there. I think that it has to tie into Alex Smith as well, with Alex Smith being in the room. Everyone knows that Alex Smith was able to kind of check down Charlie throughout his career.
Yeah.
But he's also not a high turnover, high risk type of guy. So I feel like Scott Turner's going to have Alex Smith and Dwayne's ear like, look, if the big play is there, obviously take it because you got the arm and you got the big play mentality in you, but also be smart with the ball like I've been over my career and, take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was the next quote, Reed?
So there's 5 more quotes that I want to get to. 4 of them are about Dwayne Haskins. Zampese said that Dwayne Haskins has done everything he can do in his control, which is losing weight, working out, etc. But now comes the second part, which is going to be difficult. But also he said, Zampese said Kyle Allen also lost some weight and looks like he can roll. So it sounds like he has confidence in both guys. It's good to see that the coaching staff is excited with what Dwayne's been doing and that they've kind of taken notice because that's all we asked from him this offseason was to put in work, and he's doing that. And we've talked about it 1,000 times on this show. That's what you want from Dwayne Haskins. That's what you want to see after the season he had last year. And now it's just time to put it all together.
Yeah, and look, I think Rivera alluded to this on Tuesday, talking about Dwayne and taking advantage of the opportunity. I think it was along the lines of there. And what he wanted for Dwayne was, there's a lot of pressure on a first-round pick, and he wanted him to start acting like it and with that pressure on him. And like you just alluded to, Reed, Dwayne has shown that this offseason, that he has taken that responsibility and leadership, and he was showcasing to everyone that wanted to that he was working out and he was losing weight and doing well. I remember I saw some on Twitter today. Dwayne was going back and forth. I think Redskins today had made or Washington today had posted about it. But Dwayne is 6'4" and 216, which is
so he grew an inch.
Compared to Deshaun Watson, who is, I think, 6'2", 216.
Yeah, Deshaun was about 6'2", yeah.
Yeah, so when you put that in perspective, that's great. And I'm really happy to see that because that means he's going to be more nimble and everything. But, I've said it before. I didn't mind the weight of Dwayne Haskins because that meant that he was going to be able to take hits like Big Ben.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But did Dwayne Haskins grow an inch? Did it? Because I remember he was listed at 6'3" at the combine. It coming out. Did they say he was 6'4"?
So Washington today wrote 6'3", 216, and then Dwayne retweeted it with a comment and said 6'4".
Oh wow! Yeah. So he's grown an inch. Good.
So maybe
that's perfect quarterback size. Anyway, go ahead, Hall.
Yeah. No. What was the quote again? I was listening.
It was the quote was just about that Dwayne Haskins has done everything he can in this.
Oh yeah. All right, yeah. So, I mean, everyone's seen his social media in the offseason. One of his big things going into the draft, and even Urban Meyer, his coach at Ohio State, pointed out that he's still really immature, and with the whole selfie after his first win and stuff like that, him not being prepared, going into like the relief against the Giants and the Vikings game. We alluded to it, Kyle. I think Reed might have too as well. Back whenever. Jay Gruden or somebody would be talking to Case Keenum on the sidelines, Dwayne would kind of just be spaced out, just not really paying attention. It's like, just taking in the surroundings when you should have been in those conversations, kind of learn what you see, blah, 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 stuff like that. So for him to lose weight, put in all the work with these different receivers in the off season. I know you're going to probably get to one of the quotes where he was working out with Cam Newton this off season, which I'll save my take for that later on. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what Dwayne does this year. And I said it on Twitter. I feel like everyone in Washington Football Team Nation and the rest of the league is kind of like rooting for him. And that kind of confidence and kind of like hope, I mean, it's only going to bode well for him.
Yeah, and the one thing about that bench picture from last year of him not paying attention, we kind of got a glimpse into the reality of the situation that was back then about, the coach at that time being very disrespectful to Dwayne. But at the same time, Dwayne, if you are a leader, if you're somebody that is willing to learn and wants to get better, you're going to pay attention regardless, So I hate to use I hate to use that as an excuse, but the reality is obviously Dwayne was off put by how he was treated.
People don't always get along with their coaches, but they respect him and they listen to him.
Right, exactly.
Demand respect, but the next thing that he said, you talked about Steven Montez earlier. Ken Zampese said that they've been quizzing Dwayne Haskins and Steven Montez on learning the language of a system because they're the only ones without familiarity with it. So he wants them to be able to understand it effortlessly. I think that's fantastic. They've talked about that in the past, how they're going to be quizzing Dwayne Haskins to kind of make sure that he understands the offense and the terminology. And because that's one thing that they always talk about with young quarterbacks is it's so hard when they switch offensive coordinators or switch coaching staffs early in their career because they just got used to one playbook, they just adapted. Then somebody else comes in with a completely different wording and completely different process. And so I think it's very important for Haskins and Montez to really pick that up and understand the offense. And that's where somebody like Kyle Allen will come in and really help this locker room, I think.
Yeah, and look, this is a lot like RG3 coming out of Baylor. They didn't have play calls. They didn't have plays that were scripted. It was all based off signs, off of play calls, and that's how it was at Ohio State. So you have to imagine at the pro level, you have to, as the quarterback, you have to give assignments to every single unit on the offense. And the X and the Y and the Z all have their own play scripted out with that verbiage, and it's long. And it's a really long play call, and so it's a lot to get adjusted to on top of being able to read a defense. And look, I know that Dwayne, this is his second year and then this is his first year with a new offense. Obviously, you keep switching up. But the fact is, you got to be able, and we heard this last offseason with Dwayne, was the play calls, right? I mean, we've known this is a thing, and so I'm not going to sit here and say that Dwayne's not going to learn the playbook. I think he 100% is. But a credit to Scott Turner saying the physical part of playing quarterback in this offense is going to come easy for Dwayne. It's the verbiage of the play calls. It's getting everybody in check is where he wants to see him progress in that. And look, quizzing is the best way to be able to do that because it's challenging. And let's see if he responds.
Yeah, I'm actually happy they're here that there's no Jamarcus Russell situation where he tried to quiz him and he's like, oh yeah, look, I'll watch it, I'll look at it. I gave you a blank disc or something like that,
That's my favorite story ever, by the way. So good.
But yeah, I mean, everyone knows that Jay Gruden's his offense like 12 to 15 words in each play. So that was kind of what was Dwayne Haskins, I guess, problem in the beginning when he was trying to learn the system.
And his playbook was huge too.
Exactly. And you guys are exactly right. Like, I was going to say, sorry, got a little distracted.
You were going to say something about Ohio State and Baylor's play calling.
Oh, yeah. That's like nothing but hand signals. And like you said, kind of just
see, I know what Hall's thinking.
Yeah, you kind of look at the receiver and it's kind of like based off of like eye motions and kind of like, hey, I know what Rodgers going to run. And at those college kind of spread out offenses, kind of just like you only have about maybe one or two routes per play to run. So it's not really that complicated. And it's kind of easier for Dwayne to be like, they're only running two different routes. I can pick the easier of the two. So, yeah, I think that with Scott Turner's offense not being dumbed down enough, but like a lot, but just less verbiage.
Right.
And him, I guess, so far so good, has been passing all the quizzes that Scott Turner has been giving him. And, yeah, so I think, like you said, Kyle Allen already knows the offense. Once they get on the field and actually in the rooms and not just on these Zoom meetings and stuff like that, I think that hopefully Dwayne will pick it up a little bit faster and faster. And like you said, and like he said in his quotes, the physical part's already there for him, so it's just about the mental part at this point.
Yeah, and look, if he works as hard as he was in the offseason with working out and everything, he's going to pick up the playbook and no problem. And I don't think he's going to struggle to do that at all. I think this offense is going to hum and they're going to gel very nicely, given the pieces in place with Alex Smith and Kyle Allen, like you were saying before, Reed.
Right, and this kind of all ties into the next quote. He went on to say that memorization of the playbook, speaking the language fluently, which we just talked about, the philosophy of the play, grouping reads, knowing where the coaches want the ball to go. Those are things that Ken Zampese wants to see from Haskins in particular, and he can't wait to see the wheels turn quickly. So I think he's probably laid out for Dwayne what he expects from him, where he expects him to be.
Hit your checkdowns.
Yeah, and that kind of just ties in with what we just said. It's different terminology, but they're going to make Dwayne pick it up and see if it really clicks, and I think that it will.
Yeah, and essentially what Scott Turner is saying there, we want to make sure that Dwayne hits his checkdowns, give what the defense is giving you, but at the same time, let's be an attacking style. But you can't force something into triple coverage. Let's not Brett Favre this thing. Right. If you have the underneath coverage is off away, make sure you hit the check down. Let's get the yardage and move up. That's how I kind of see Dwayne developing better as a passer, because last season it was kind of scripted. Things did lay out well for him, but let's see how he does in progressing by reading the defense and then going to where getting the ball to the receiver, because there's always an open receiver on every play. It's very, very rare that everyone will be strapped up. It doesn't happen very often. So you'll always have an outlet, and hitting that outlet is what is going to get you first downs in this league.
Yeah, I think, like I said, with Kyle Allen knowing the system, if you go back and watch the tape of the Kyle Allen, especially in the beginning, his first 5 to 6 starts, obviously Christian McCaffrey was a big part of that offense, and he was what made the offense go. But
wasn't that also Norv Turner's offense at that time?
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like it's kind of the same because they're not father and son. But if you look at Kyle Allen, he had a lot of checkdowns, a lot of swing passes, a lot of out routes to Christian McCaffrey. So I feel like with Kyle Allen being there, and again, like I said before, Alex Smith kind of having that label of checkdown Charlie throughout his career and kind of the safe guy, I think that Dwayne is going to take his shots to McCoy and AGG, and obviously he's going to have to know the quarterback's role on the offense is to know every single person's role and every person's role in that play. So if Dwayne can get that down and kind of get that under his belt and get comfortable before the season starts, I think that it'll bode well for him and this whole Washington offense.
Yeah, and I remember there was like a Halloween special about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer. It was probably closer to 10 years ago. But it was Ray Lewis, and it was like he was talking about a different kind of fear. And one of that fear was going against Peyton Manning, because he said, whenever you're going against Peyton, it doesn't matter what defense you're in. He always knows where your weaknesses are, and he always gets the ball to that spot. Same thing with Tom Brady. I have to give him a lot of credit for that because he's always done well and smart with locating of the football. And that's where kind of it goes for Dwayne. That's where it goes into my point where finding out where those outlets are, that's how you can really progress in this league and go further.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And let's also not forget Zampese is very good with young quarterbacks. He helped Baker Mayfield in 2018 have that stellar season that he had. He's a very well-respected quarterback coach in this league. So for him to use Scott's offense and try to get Dwayne adapted to it and up to speed, I think he's the perfect guy to do this. The next one kind of ties in with something that Hall said earlier about Cam Newton. He said that he loves seeing Dwayne work out with Cam Newton this offseason. Newton knows the language of the playbook. Zampese said he saw the pick, texted Haskins to ask any questions that he has about the offense to Cam, and Haskins said he was on it. Zampese loved that answer. I know that there's also a video of Dwayne Haskins talking to Cam Newton, and Cam Newton being like, look, after this, you're going to get my contact info. I want you to hit me up. I'm going to look out for you. You look out for me. It's a brotherhood. Like, we're all trying to get better. We want to see everybody succeed. And that was real cool to see. I think that could be huge for Dwayne, having somebody like Cam Newton help him out.
Yeah, which is surprising because I thought they were already friends. I thought they were just meeting up for a throw session. So it and it's good to see because Cam Newton, I know everyone will have their opinion about Cam, but the one thing you can't say about Cam is he doesn't get in trouble off the field ever since that issue in college. Right. He has been well off the field. He's done a lot for the community, and he's a man's man, if that makes any sense. I know the way he dresses is kind of weird. It's just futuristic, I guess, cutting edge, you could say. But the fact is, when he walks into a room, you know that he's the man. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those personalities. And if Dwayne rubbing off with Cam and being able to pick the mind off of Cam, it was going to help him with everything that we've already talked about, with getting ready and with the verbiage and everything like that. And I think learning from Cam Newton would go a lot farther for Dwayne, seeing from somebody who has been in that position that he's in, kind of guiding him in where he needs to go. I think that is a great person to get information from. You can't go anybody better.
Yeah, like Reed said, he alluded to it where the little clip at the end of the video where Cam's talking to him and Deshaun Watson and and one other guy there. And he was just like, look, you're going to get my contact info, blah, 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 and I'm going to be watching your progress from a bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm.
That's like huge of Cam to be like, look, I don't know who took the initiative to hit one or the other up and be like, hey, let's work out together. But I'd like to think it was maybe Dwayne hitting up Cam being like, hey, can we throw together, have a little workout session together? Just because that's the kind of persona Dwayne's been putting on Twitter throughout the whole offseason.
Could have been.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been Deshaun Watson getting them together too.
Exactly.
Cam said that Dwayne didn't have his contact info in that
video.
video.
That's true. Yeah, probably was Deshaun Watson or someone like that. Maybe a mutual friend. Yeah. But just like I said, going forward, just bodes well for. I wonder if Dwayne knows more. Probably does.
She probably does.
Yeah.
He does.
But I think it's gonna be a huge going forward with Dwayne Haskins. I hope that he asks as many questions as possible. Just soaked up anything that Cam Newton had about the offense, about the Scott Turner, about the coaching staff, obviously about Rivera, and just took it in like a sponge and was there to learn. And some of the throws I saw in the video were just obviously they've been on point, just like every other throw he's had this offseason. So again, it just goes back to what we said before, where all the physical tools are there. At this point, it's literally just, are you locked in? Do you know the playbook and the whole mental thing? And like I said before, but the whole Washington Football Nation, and it seems like the rest of the league behind Dwayne and kind of has Dwayne's back. Confidence is key in this game, man. If you have confidence in yourself, the sky's the limit.
And it's funny because, with all these workout videos that Dwayne has done, it's great to see them working out, showing that leadership in the offseason. But I've always thought in the back of my mind, the physical part has never been bad for Dwayne. The dude, we saw the replay from last year against the Jets where he's cross body and throws it 70 yards on a dime to Terry McLaurin. The physical part is not an issue for Dwayne. Right. So when everyone was blowing up this workout video, he's like, "Oh, that's my cool look at a ball," and we know that. Where Dwayne needs to progress is exactly where Ken Zampese is saying right now. And that is in the mental game, the verbiage, and getting used to the plays and his check down. So I'm glad to see that is an area of concern for Ken Zampese. And I kind of like that he's putting it out there because there's no way to escape it. You know what I mean? So he's putting it out there saying, look, this is where you need to progress. And I'm really excited to see how Dwayne responds.
Yeah. So am I. I think that's a really good point. This is the final quote that we'll talk about because it kind of ties in with what we're going to talk about next. Zampese says that what sold him on coming to Washington was the people and Coach Rivera. He said the storied franchise that's had success and the desire to bring back the fans. I think that he saw that as a challenge, and he was excited to work with Coach Ron. He's probably – it seems like everybody wants to work with Ron Rivera. So I think that that's a good thing, despite all this negative stuff that's been surrounding the franchise lately. To hear him say that he chose this place because of Ron and because of the fans and the rebuild and what they have, their future, their sights set on, I think that's a really good thing and bodes well for this team.
Yeah, and I've talked about it many times. I was worried that Ron was regretting his decision coming here, and the fact that the Washington football team came out on Twitter the other day with a video, that 2-minute video that
got me going.
That Rivera narrated and spoke for, and that was incredible. That was a great video.
So good.
And he says in there, I love this area. We take honor in it, and we're going to respect it and everything. And that really stuck with me because I was worried about that. And you're absolutely right. Who wouldn't want to work for Ron Rivera? And a lot of the motivation behind getting a good team going and buying into the system is having a persona, is having something to cling to, having a kind of aura. And that's what Ron Rivera is bringing, a kind of aura, a kind of fundamental mentality to the organization. And I have no issue with anything that Ron Rivera has done. And so it goes into our next thing that we're going to talk about, though. So let me hear your reaction, Hall.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to paraphrase the quote, but he said he's trying to build a team, trying to build a culture, and most importantly, trying to build a family. And that really strikes home because obviously for these past 20 years, it kind of feels like the Redskins have kind of been every man for themselves and individuals and all about their money. And, it's kind of me, me, me. So I know people on Twitter were trying to, like, kind of fry up the whole, like, everyone had a team on their back. But, again, it's kind of like that one for all for one type of mentality. And
Three Musketeers.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
53 Musketeers.
I love that they put team on the back of the jerseys as opposed to their team names. That's a military style tactic that Rivera used, which is something that we've heard numerous times about Ron Rivera being a military type guy. He respects the military, who takes a lot from the military and tries to incorporate it into his teams. And that's something that no one person is bigger than the team. And I think that's kind of what he's getting across with that message. And I love it. I love that Ron did that.
Yeah, and what Reed is referring to, yesterday, Washington football players showed up, rookies, I believe, and guys that were on the medical list, if I'm not mistaken, were allowed to show up and work out. They were socially distanced, everybody, don't worry. They were on the field just working out. We got to see Chase Young. But like you were saying, Reed, I have no issue with the team on the back of the shirt. I know a lot of people are going to make fun of. I know one guy. Look, I love the dude, but he said, it's kind of lame. It's kind of what did he say?
Corny.
Corny. And look, I understand. But
tell him he's wrong.
But the fact is, other teams, successful teams, already have this culture, and like Hall had alluded to, this has been an issue for the Washington football team going back 20 years, even more, because guys just played for themselves. There were small cliques in the locker room that only messed with each other, and it wasn't just all one team. And look, as corny as it is, it's still not as bad as Sperano burying that football out in Oakland and bringing the team around to bury the season.
Right. How about Jim Zorn after a win doing the hip hip hooray? That was worse. That was cheesy.
That was
the worst thing I've ever seen in football.
Actually, do you remember the night that Dan was dancing in the press box? Was that the Packers game?
I think it was. Yeah, that was pretty bad too. That was very awkward.
That was awkward. But look, I absolutely love this about Rivera because it's kind of, like you said, it brings a kind of military aspect to it, a kind of a Alabama and Penn State kind of feeling with it, where you're representing the team, you're not representing yourself. Where Penn State, they don't have any last names on their jerseys or anything. So it makes a lot of sense, and I'm all for it. As corny as it is, it needs to happen, in my opinion. And I'm glad that is a position that Ron Rivera is taking because, like we said, it's an aura being built around this team right now, and I absolutely love seeing it. Now, one thing that I did see, Chase Young's jersey was stitched. It wasn't printed. In years past, it's just been that printed, painted white. He actually had a stitched practice jersey, and it looked good.
Yeah, I mean, look. Hopefully he's going to be the superstar that this team's been desperately searching for these past 20 years. That franchise guy, the face of the team, the kind of obviously Hall of Fame talent, and maybe even defensive rookie or player of the year type mentality type of player. And look, if the guy wants to get a stitched jersey, he's a baller. He deserves it. I mean, he doesn't deserve that like the Walmart brand printed on jersey. Like, nah, he's a baller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Just think about all of the great pass rushers right now in the NFL. Their presence alone makes their defenses that much better. Like all of them are on very good defenses. So if you have that automatically, if you have a good pass rush and a superstar like a Khalil Mack or a Von Miller or a J.J. Watt or a T.J. Watt, like all these guys' defenses are very good. And it all starts with the pass rush. So if we can get that guy and we have him, which a lot of people think we do, look out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, some bad news came about as of yesterday. We don't know how bad it is, but Logan Thomas, the tight end that the Washington football team signed in the offseason from Detroit, who actually took targets away from TJ Hockenson and looked pretty good. He was signed and he was expected to be the number one tight end, but the Washington football team has placed him on the COVID list, which
China.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. But and so now we know that Logan Thomas did test positive for COVID, so now he has to go through the protocol, and I'm not sure if it's really going to hamper him and take him out of the season because I know he does have some medical issues in his family. But look, I expect him back, in my opinion.
Yeah, Hall. Is Hall frozen like that, or is that just his face?
I think Hall is frozen like that, actually.
I was about to say, I was like, only he could hold that pose.
I know. How does he just staying laughing like that? That's just look at that smile. Look, there he is.
There he goes. There he
And
is.
we're back.
You were stuck mid-smile and the whole
Y'all
time.
were stuck mid
Really, we were trying to figure out if you were frozen or what was happening. I was like, is he just that high right now? What's going on?
Not in Maine. You can't do that in Maine.
Yeah, you know.
Here, you can do whatever you want here.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, Hall posted a picture the other from yesterday, and it was a lobster. It was in the grass, and he like picked it out of the water up there. And I was like, dude, how are you just gonna pick it up from Giant, place it in the grass for a photo shoot, and post it on Facebook? It's messed up, dude. He even posted the after picture too.
Yeah, dog.
That looked good though.
Peter's gonna come after you, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, watch out.
But in all honesty, in all seriousness, I hope Logan Thomas gets better. I think from what I've heard, he is asymptomatic.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. As a young athlete, a lot of times these guys they're going to be fine. It's them getting around their family members and the older individuals and people with health issues that you got to worry about. But a lot of these NFL players and MLB players like Juan Soto, Kyle, we talked about earlier, he was completely fine. I know that
it was a false positive.
Yeah, he had a false positive. He had to sit out. He ended up apparently getting 6 negative tests, but he had to have back-to-back negative tests through the MLB and through something else in order
the
to
DC Health Department.
Yeah, so finally he'll play next week, but I don't know why everybody's freaking out right now. And they're like, all right, we got to go get a tight end now. We have to get a tight end. It's like, just give it 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks. He'll be back. He's fine.
Well,
yeah, that was going to be my point where it's like, they're not even like they're going to be on the field, like in pads and stuff until like August. I think it was August, like mid-August or something like that. So, I mean, we still have like maybe like 2-3 weeks away from
2-3 weeks. He'll be fine.
In shells and stuff on the field. So, I mean, he's already been in the Zoom meetings in the classroom and stuff like that. I'm sure he's still going to be on the Zoom meetings, just isolated and what's it called, isolation. And so it's not really a big deal. And once they get on the field, we can determine if we need to add a tight end or something like that. But honestly, I was the one kind of down on the whole tight end thing. I wasn't one that wanted to make a move for Njoku. I wanted to sign Hooper, even though we didn't want to set the market on him. So I kind of understand that. But y'all convinced me to where there's a point where, you know what, let's give these guys a chance. And I actually went back and watched a couple of Logan Thomas like games and highlights, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I was like, you know what? He did kind of stand out here and there. So
he looks like he seems like he picked that up very quickly. And being a former quarterback, I think only helps him because he knows what quarterbacks like. He knows what he would like.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, he's athletic. You're right, Hall. He had a look about him like, okay, this guy's been doing this for his entire life, and he hasn't. So that was.
Also, Kyle, didn't you post something where he was like the #1 rated tight end coming out of high school, but he went to VTech as a QB, like randomly?
Yeah, so he went to Tech and wanted to play tight end actually, but they needed a quarterback, and so he transitioned to quarterback. And the thing about Tech, unfortunately, I love Virginia Tech, I love the Hokies, but they struggle with developing quarterbacks. They always have. Michael Vick was just that special. The only quarterback that really progressed Virginia Tech was Tyrod Taylor, and he really has shown out. And look, he's gonna have his.
I thought you were gonna say Ike Whitaker.
Oh yeah, he progressed well. You're absolutely right. No, but in all seriousness,
that's my boy.
With the tight end spot, a lot of guys are forgetting about Richard Rodgers, who the Washington football team signed the offseason, who caught the Hail Mary pass from Aaron Rodgers, who comes from a good system. That is a guy you can't discount. Then you have Hale Hentages, who played well last season, was a red zone target, caught a couple touchdowns, and performed okay. I think that's somebody that is a good depth piece. And then you talk about Thad Moss possibly being there and contributing. And then you have Jeremy Sprinkle.
Jeremy Sprinkle, right.
Exactly. So there is a lot of depth here. There's no reason to flip out. There's no reason to freak out and think it's the end of the world. There's a lot of successful teams in this league that have no-name tight ends. And every tight end that ends up being a superstar it started out as a no-name.
Yeah, exactly.
And it all goes back to the quarterback at the end of the day. The quarterback has to be the one to get them the ball. Right. They can be open all they want to. So, I mean, again, it goes back to Dwayne, and I just think that once they get the shells on, he's going to get a lot of cooperation. Or not cooperation. I'm sorry, man. I'm like –
Repetitions?
Repetitions. I've been in the sun all day. I don't know. I'm like out of it. But, yeah, they're going to get a lot of reps together and a lot of yeah, I don't know. I'm just good.
No, you're good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to get a lot of time together, and this could possibly hamper that. But I have all the confidence in Logan Thomas and being able to win that job when he's presented with it. Because look, like Ron Rivera said on Tuesday, every single position is a competition right now. Nobody has a starting job. Let's see what you got. Now, the Washington football team, right before we started recording, they've signed a cornerback, Ryan Lewis, who played with Buffalo in 2018. Last season, he played 13 games with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 6 foot, 195 pounds, only
He didn't
26.
play for the Eagles.
Sorry, not the Eagles. Dolphins. The Dolphins last year, and they just cut him yesterday. So the Washington football team picked him up off of waivers, and so he's 6 foot, 195 pounds. Look, playing in 13 games last season, I know that Miami didn't do well last season, but the fact is, this is somebody who has experience, who has a couple years in the league, is still relatively young, and can bring some depth to the position.
He can actually step in if you need him to. Because we all know that the Redskins' injuries history hasn't been the best over the last few years, but he's somebody who has experience. So if you need him to, he can come in there and he can play. Who knows what's going to happen? So I love it. I like that they're bringing in people with experience.
Yeah, I mean, like you just alluded to, it's an open competition and every spot is open. So I mean, he might come in and all of a sudden pick up the system and be like, this is the perfect fit for me. And actually, he's that next number 2 starting cornerback for the team. So anything's up in there, anything's possible, and it's a competition out there, and competition breeds greatness, and I want the team to be great, so I like the move.
Right.
Yeah, as long as you have a lot of depth, which is something the Washington football team has struggled to have at multiple positions for many, many years. It just we cannot have depth in spots. That being said, let's move on to the overall NFL and talk about the NFL Top 100. But before we get into that, I heard a quote on the radio, I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and that was Aaron Rodgers. And he was talking about how he fully expects to play for another team. And he says, I don't have any animosity. I don't have any anger towards them. It's just the reality of the situation. It is what it is, quote unquote, from him. And that really speaks to me because, because originally we all knew that he was pissed off by it. Like, who wouldn't be? They drafted your replacement basically saying, we're ready to move on from you.
Right.
And he had a good point in saying, like, when I was drafted, it was fully expected that I was going to sit. Nowadays, when you draft a quarterback, it's like the coach's guy.
First round, especially, right.
Right, and you're kind of like the coach is forced for him to keep his job. One of the ways he can do that is by starting the quarterback because nobody wants to start a second-year quarterback with a different coach. So to Aaron's point, look, I give a lot of credit to him because, look, it is what it is. He knows it's a business. They have to make these decisions. My question to you guys is, where do you think he's going to end up? Because I have a feeling. I've said it all offseason. I was wrong every single time, but Vegas.
Yeah, I made a joke back whenever they drafted Jordan Love. I was like, oh, but Dwayne DeHack's going to pan out Aaron Rodgers to Washington in 2021. But I fully expect Dwayne to actually have a decent, pretty good year and take those steps to kind of be around for the near future going forward. I don't know about the second contract then. We'll see how that pans out, but definitely the near future. But Oakland is definitely, or Las Vegas is definitely a good pick. I would even go as far as to say the Belichick boy.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say watch him sign with New England next year.
Everything's setting up to where it's kind of like there's going to be a down year for 1 year and then all of a sudden just shoot right back up to the top. Like we just talked about in the last podcast, we kind of feel bad for Cam Newton where it's kind of like he went there expecting to be like, all right, we got this kind of guy. At least they have the defense that's going to like help me out. Now, the majority of the defense is already like opting out. So he already had no weapons around him to begin with on offense. But I just think he's on a 1 year deal anyway. So I just think that it's kind of setting up for either a Trevor Lawrence type deal or a Aaron Rodgers type deal in New England.
Yeah, I think that Jordan Love is so far away from being able to actually play in the NFL. Like he has all the talent in the world, but I always thought that he was somebody who, if he did go somewhere like Green Bay, it would be perfect because he could sit for a few years behind Rodgers, like at least 2, and pick up the game. Because from what we saw in film, especially from what I watched, he's just not there right now.
No, he's
not. He's got all the tools that you want, literally anything you could ever want in a quarterback. It's just mentally he's not there. He doesn't make great decisions. He loves to stare down his targets. So hopefully if Rodgers does leave after this year, hopefully Jordan Love is watching him closely and doing everything he can to be around Aaron Rodgers at all times and attaching himself to the hip because he's going to struggle. otherwise.
Yeah, and watching Jordan Love's film, I know we've all talked about it. I was not impressed. I was watching him going against, like, it was like not North Dakota State. It was like some random college, and he was struggling with him. And one of the issues that I had was they had to script plays for him to hit the check down.
Yeah.
You know, when you're going against poor competition, if you are well defended down the field, that should be easy money for you.
I think it was probably the Montana game you're talking about.
Yeah, it probably was. You're absolutely right. And look, that was a horrible game. I just didn't feel like he was pro ready. Looking at him, and this kind of throws a thorn into things with Aaron Rodgers. And so Aaron is a Cali boy, and makes you wonder because the Rams are not married to Jared Goff.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can even look at San Francisco at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they gave Jimmy G that huge contract, but
Jimmy G's extremely overrated.
yeah, they can get out of it. I think after this upcoming season, it's kind of like not a lot of dead cap money. So
How perfect would that be? Remember, the 49ers passed on Aaron Rodgers.
he wanted to go to San Francisco.
That was his hometown team. He grew up watching the 49ers as a huge 49ers fan. They ended up
him and
taking
Kyle
Alex.
Shanahan would be
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane if they were together. That running game along, my goodness.
Yeah.
In other news, Lesean McCoy, the free agent running back, he signs with the Bucks with a 1-year deal. He's following Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady down to Tampa Bay. Your immediate reaction, Reed?
I think that if this was years ago, it would be amazing. Right now, I'm not as excited about it, but he definitely provides something that Tampa needs. Like Ronald Jones right now was not the answer. I don't think. Maybe he'll end up being there, but I could actually see LeSean McCoy working really well with Tom Brady. I could see him. He's a veteran running back. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He's shifty. Of course, he's not the athlete that he once was, but still his game, and he can do it all. So I think maybe he could help Ronald Jones too along. Maybe he could teach him some things, and I only see this as a positive. I mean, if this was – think about this Bucs offense if this was 5 years ago. If they had Gronk, LeSean McCoy, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Jesus.
You know, one thing for me, it kind of seems like LeSean McCoy is establishing himself as the James White of this offense. Kind of the pass catching back out of the backfield for Tom, because Tom has always had that. How many times have we seen that play of Tom just hitting the flat to the left or the right side whenever the play gets defended down the field, like we've talked about numerous times already this episode. But that LeSean McCoy fits that bill for him. It's somebody that he can trust. Because he does respect LeSean McCoy. So I think that is a great fit, like you said, Reed. It just adds another weapon to that offense.
Right. Yeah, like you just said, I was going to go the same point. I think it's going to be his James White 2.0. Everyone always says LeSean McCoy is one of the smartest running backs in the game. He can pick up an offense like snap of a finger. Obviously, he's not the 20-plus carries guys a game like he was a couple years ago with the Eagles and even beginning with the Bills. But like you said before, that he can be deadly in the pass game. And if he can get anywhere between 8 to 10 touches a game, I mean, between those 8 to 10 touches, he's going to take one of those to the house at some point. Right. So it just adds more depth to that huge, explosive offense down in Tampa Bay. And it looks like they're going all in for a Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you have to imagine every time they're in a pass set, LeSean McCoy is guaranteed a matchup on a linebacker. You cannot dedicate a safety to LeSean McCoy with Rob Gronkowski on the field, with Mike Evans on the field, and Chris Godwin. So it's a guaranteed matchup nightmare for the defense. And look, he's not as fast as he used to be, but like Hall said, he's one of the smartest running backs in the league. And if he's going against a linebacker, McCoy's going to win. I don't care.
Pass blocking is super underrated as well. So they can use him in many different sets, many different formations.
Yeah, and so to end the podcast today, let's talk about the NFL Top 100. With no surprise at all, there was not a sighting of a Washington football player. Obviously, they were the number 2 overall pick. Nobody really deserved it, but Terry McLaurin should have been on that list, in my opinion. It finished out, and it looks like Lamar Jackson was number 1. Who was number 2?
Was it Russ?
No, it was Russell Wilson was 2. I believe Aaron Donald was 3, and Patrick Mahomes was 4 for the second year in a row, which is weird because he's considered the best player in the league. He just came in 4th both years.
And then Christian McCaffrey was at 5, right?
He was at 5 or 6. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, he was at 6.
Who was 5?
I don't even remember who 5 was.
I don't remember, but go ahead, Kyle.
Sorry, look, I respect the hell out of Aaron Donald. I respect the hell out of Russell Wilson. But what? You know, especially with McCaffrey. McCaffrey was literally the only player on that team. And he balled out. How the heck is he 5? That blows my mind. And look, a lot of credit to Lamar Jackson for what he did last year. I've talked about it numerous times. They didn't really
5 was
have
Michael Thomas. Why? My bad.
Okay. Then on the outside, the Baltimore Ravens had nobody, and they ran the ball a lot. But Lamar Jackson ended up blowing the league wide open with just tight ends, and just to go and to show how far he developed, he deserved a number 1 spot. But I thought Mahomes deserved to be in that 2 spot, and McCaffrey deserved to be at 3.
Right.
I heard something where the voting they do it in November, so it's kind of like
what?
Yeah, no. I was like, wait, what? But I was watching Undisputed earlier, and Skip was like, yeah, the voting's the end of November, so I guess at that point,
who's playing the best.
Yeah,
okay.
So that still doesn't make any sense why Terry wasn't on there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a popularity contest at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, look, everyone knows that AJ Brown had a way better year than DK Metcalf. He didn't even make the list.
And
he was better than DK Metcalf in college. So come on.
And not only that, they left Kenny Galladay off the list. Kenny Galladay had a fantastic year. Joe Mixon wasn't on the list. Who I think he's better than Chris Carson. Chris Carson.
Josh Jacobs was on the list. He was on the list.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs was on there. But and then they had Devontae Adams rated 57. Devontae Adams is way better than
Whoa.
that. Yeah.
That is bad.
DK Metcalf 56?
No, DK Metcalf was 81.
Oh, I was gonna be like, wait, so they put DK above Devontae Adams? Nah, no credibility whatsoever.
Right.
Dude, Devontae Adams is one of the best route running wide receivers in the league.
Top 5 wide receiver in this league.
My goodness, I can't believe what a butchering. And look, I feel like they do it on purpose just to create clicks, just to get people riled up and talking at this point. But I really hope that the guys in the Washington football team locker room take that and staple it on the board. Say, nobody respects you.
Right.
I mean, I would even put DeAndre Hopkins above Michael Thomas. I know Michael Thomas broke the record for catches, but he also gets 1,000 targets a game.
Right.
Hopkins is literally just Sean Watson by himself.
Right.
So
they also
crazy.
They had Derrick Henry ranked as the second best running back in the league. And look, Derrick Henry, he put that team on his back. He played fantastic this year. But I'm sorry, he's not a better running back than Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott. That's just not close. So for him to be 10 and the second rated running back, they definitely it seems like they're just trying to create controversy at some point. But another Redskin that could have made it was Matt Ioannidis.
Yes.
Let's not forget Ioannidis made the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
Ioannidis had a fantastic year, and he's somebody who keep an eye out for. Maybe he could be on there next year with Chase Young, and Perry, hopefully.
Yeah,
maybe Blaine will come out.
But unfortunate for me, I'm sitting here thinking, it doesn't seem so crazy because even fans in the Washington football fan base kind of forget about Matt Ioannidis, and so it would kind of make sense why the rest of the country kind of would forget about him too. But as a professional, you would think that people would give respect to where it's due to Terry and Matt being one of the only people to produce last season. So
those are just the only 2 Redskins that I can think of off the top of my head that would deserve to be on that list. It would be you can make an argument for McLaurin and for Ioannidis.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I have no problem with Lamar being there at number 1.
After that season,
absolutely.
NFL MVP. I mean, no one's going to argue that.
He rushed for 1,200 yards in 15 games.
Led the league in passing touchdowns with just tight ends.
His touchdown to interception ratio was crazy.
Yeah, look, and he perfected the whole running of the quarterback while playing quarterback. He would dive to the ground when he needed to. He would go out of bounds when it was a smart thing to do. He carries himself so well. I'll never forget last season when Harbaugh was about to fight. I think it was when he was yelling at the coaches or he was yelling at the players on the field, and Lamar Jackson was calming him down. Which is not something you usually see. Usually it's the other way around.
So I cannot understand Lamar Jackson when he talks. He's just so Louisiana Southern type. I just don't get him. And Louisville produces the ugliest quarterbacks in the world. As good as Lamar is, he is ugly as shit. And so is Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater still looks with his braces that he just got off. So Louisville just has this thing for ugly quarterback. So if you're an ugly quarterback who, that isn't going to be highly recruited, put some tape to Louisville. I guarantee you'll get a spot there.
They're so mean.
I will say this though, I don't really have a problem with Russell Wilson being over Pat Mahomes just because.
Look at Russell's career.
Russell, not even just that, but Russell Wilson has had nobody around him.
Right.
The whole time he's been in Seattle, other than Doug Baldwin, who's retired.
Right.
And
I mean, you put any one of those receivers and Russell Wilson in Seattle,
Right.
he's going to put up even huger number than he does. So.
They've always had a bad offensive line, and
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. People forget last year Russell Wilson was playing very good, and if they do vote at the end of November, Mahomes had missed a couple games. He definitely didn't throw 50 touchdowns. I think he threw 28 or something. So he really shined in the playoffs. Mahomes, that's where he like took the next level, and that's where he became the Mahomes again that we all expected him to be. But Russell Wilson was right there neck and neck with Lamar Jackson in the MVP race for almost the entire year, and then. Weeks left, Lamar kind of took off with it, but I have no issue with Russell Wilson being number 2.
Yeah, I remember saying last offseason to all the fantasy guys out there, Tyler Lockett is a number 1 wide receiver. You can start him in your lineup all year long because, look, I've won 2 championships with Doug Baldwin, and I absolutely love Dougie. When I heard him retire last offseason, I was, dang it, dude, my guy's gone. But glad to see Tyler Lockett blow up. And then DK Metcalf, coming onto the scene and doing well. Chris Carson being the one bell cow back. He would have led me to the championship last season, our big league, but I didn't start Brashad Perryman. I would have won the championship in 10, but I didn't.
Well,
it is what it is.
You know, it's crazy about Russell Wilson is he's never received an MVP vote. As good as he's been his entire career, he
very surprising, right?
He should play for Washington because everyone seems to hate on him and everyone hates on us. It's a perfect match.
and he's so good. Russell Wilson is just since he's came into the league in 2012, he's just been like the most consistent, perfect quarterback. He's been so good off the field. He's good for him, you know.
You know,
he's done more with less.
Yeah.
And I got to give a lot of respect to the players because, you know, they are giving respect where it's due. Where Lamar, that offense is because of Lamar, you know.
Right.
And with Pat Mahomes, it's kind of like the Brady with Belichick kind of the mixing of the pot of all the different ingredients of Andy Reid having that great running game, Travis Kelce, the speed of Tyreek Hill. You know, they kind of all gels together. So, look, I'll give a lot of credit to that because you're absolutely right, Hall. When you're talking about Russell and you're talking about Lamar, they generally are the starters of that offense. And Pat Mahomes, look, he's the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. The dude, I think he's. I know everyone thought Deshaun Watson was going to be the Michael Jordan of the NFL. It looks like it's Pat Mahomes, in my opinion. It looks like he's going to be running for a really long time, but he's got to stay healthy. I understand where they went with this. It makes a lot of sense in my opinion because I've always thought we should be using logic when it comes to these lists, and I think they did use that. If they did vote in November, that makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely. All right, well, I have nothing else for us tonight, guys. You got anything else?
Terry McLaurin over DK Metcalf. Woo!
You're absolutely right. All right, guys. Well, we have advanced to the Elite 8 of the Bracketeers.
There we go.
Of the Bracketeers Tournament Challenge, and that starts tomorrow, I believe, at 10 a.m. So on Friday at 10 a.m., you can go to the Bracketeers Twitter account and please go vote for the Burgundy Zone in our up-and-coming Podcasters Bracket Challenge. Like I said on Tuesday, we don't get anything out of it. You know, we're just doing it for the fun of it, just to get our name out there. You know, why not? Why wouldn't we go down this aspect? So if you guys could, if you have a Twitter account, please go vote for us tomorrow. Usually the matchup goes for 24 hours. So in that 24 hours, please go vote for us, guys. We'd really appreciate it.
Make fake accounts, start.
No, don't do that. Let's do it the right way.
No. Peter's always prosper.
We're not patriot.
Ain't trying to win.
Yeah, we're not patrioting this thing, man.
I am. I'll go down as the Belichick of this operation.
Let's deflate these polls, baby. Let's deflate the polls on their side.
Yeah, we're gonna switch it up so we can do mail-in voting. Current event jokes.
Oh man. Jack Del Rio tweeted again.
Oh great! What did he say?
Oh yeah, last night he said something, and obviously just everyone goes up and riots again, and then Chase Young retweets the same video, and not that many people go after him.
Look, people are making good points on Twitter where it's like, why is no one going at Chase Young for retweeting it? Like, why is everyone going at Jack Del Rio for it?
Oh.
No one's saying, like, we need to fire Chase Young right now. Get him off the team. Rah.
Because Chase hasn't come out as a Trump supporter yet.
Also, Chase Young probably like rip your head off.
Chase Young is also Chase Young. I mean, do whatever you want. I don't care. You want to come over here? You want to?
I mean, look, they gave the guy a 6 jersey. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Right. And look, I'm a huge supporter of Chase Young, not because he is the number 2 overall pick and going and playing for my favorite team, but he's also from Gaithersburg. He's from where we grew up, right down the street. So that's why I'll root for Chase any day of the week, twice on Sunday. It didn't matter what he does. I'll always have respect for that kid. So leave him alone. Let him tweet. Let Jack Del Rio tweet. If you don't like it, unfollow him. Otherwise, just worry about yourself. I don't know why everyone has to worry about what everyone else is posting. If you don't like it, just unfollow. It's not hard.
There's a mute button. There's an unfollow button. There's a block button.
Man, like we said a million times, like as long as the defense comes out and puts up great numbers and balls out, who cares what he tweets and says?
Yeah.
Right. It shouldn't matter at all, to be honest.
I mean, it shouldn't matter in general, but I'm just saying.
Right. No matter what, it shouldn't matter.
Right. Like, it's just funny because on Tuesday, Rivera says his press conference about the kneeling for the anthem and everything. He's talking about if you respect the Second Amendment, then why wouldn't you respect the First Amendment and allowing people the right to their free speech? Next day, Jack Del Rio tweets that, and people calling him to be fired. It's kind of like, are you guys paying attention? Oh, man. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall, back from Mars, and my last pod from Maine.
Ooh.
And I once ate 16 hot dogs in 2 minutes, and you can even ask my fiance about that. I crushed them, no bun, straight up, all in the mouth.
The Glizzy King.
Glizzy King.
That's what they call me.
Oh, man. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you guys again on Tuesday. If you can, please, if you haven't yet, please go like and share us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on iTunes, on YouTube. You can find us on Good Pods as well. Also, you can follow our accounts on Instagram, on Twitter. You can find us at the Burgundy Zone, or I think Hall is TBZ Money Mike.
301, baby.
And then Mike Reed just has like a generic Mike Reed 01234.
Mike Reed 2156, but it's old dad.
Oh, it's old dad. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Tuesday, all right? Washington football. Woo!
Peace.